Perfect. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm Christiaan Joubert. I am a marketing specialist at Resolution. And today I'll be taking you through when Atlassian user management stopped being an admin problem. I'm going to discuss a couple of things with you guys. So we will be talking about real stories, so real use cases which we have experienced with some of our customers, some hidden costs that came along, and I'll also take you through a very short live demo so that you can see how we optimize on license spend and user management in general. So first of all, we are very aware that nobody wakes up being excited about user management. I mean, unless someone by the show of a hand can tell me who is excited about user management, it's definitely not me. But unfortunately, it is the silent character that's responsible for a lot of headaches in modern organizations. And more than that, we hear from countless people that they say they manage their users manually, whether that is through copying and pasting into spreadsheets or whatever the case might be. We've heard this morning that someone was saying, we have so many people that were offboarded, but months later they still have access inside of Atlassian. And that should not be the case because you are paying for those users. So the three stories that we'll be covering today, and more specifically from our customers, is number one, why is our Atlassian bill so high? Secondly, we just migrated to cloud. Some of you might be all familiar with this already. We just migrated to cloud and everything's a mess. And lastly, who actually has access to what and why? So the first thing, the first use case, why is our Atlassian bill so high? This came directly from a customer. They are an IT integration company. They've been an Atlassian customer for more than 10 years. They started out on server. They're currently on data center, but they came from a billing structure of $30,000 per year to $300,000 per year, and they wanted some answers to this. I mean, it's the same products. It's more or less the same amount of people, but only the only difference is it's 10 times the cost. Where we see this, where this effect came from was from year-on-year price increases, and also when they were forced to migrate from server to data center. I mean, if you look at a very simple instance of 1,000 users, the price increase would be up to 2 to 3 times just based on this list alone. And that's even before counting your user management debt at all. I mean, for them, each of these increases felt increasingly, well, they found it manageable at first. And for them, it was easy to manage it year on year. But the moment they looked back on it after 10 years, they saw that it had a significant effect. And that's where all of the questions started coming in. So the other force, and the one thing that no one was actually actively managing, were a couple of things. Firstly, inactive users who are licensed but are not using the instance at all. They had hundreds of inactive users for more than 6 months, but they were actively paying for those users. They had ghost invites, because you also need to consider that on cloud, users who are invited but never accepted still gets billed. And then forgotten contractors, people who were contracted and who were in the instance but never removed. And then more important is your tier rounding. You need to be very, very aware of your tier rounding. So for example, 1,100 users equals a 2,500 user tier price. So in one single department, if one department has onboarding going on, that can easily set their tier, jump into the next pricing tier. In this case, we look at what changed their outcome with the user manager and license optimizer. So first of all, they had visibility. They could easily see and know who's active, who's inactive, and who's quietly consuming licenses versus who's not. They set inactivity rules. They automated their cleanup entirely. So they got rid of all of their spreadsheets as well. and they got rid of their quarterly housekeeping. Again, the tier awareness, they knew exactly how many users they had to remove to step down from a tier, or if there were any users to be added, at what time they would jump into a new tier. They now also have bulk actions, so they can quickly add or act rather on thousands of users by just previewing a single page and making a quick action out of it. Ownership. This is something that a lot of people struggle with, but they were finally able to take ownership, and people were able to take accountability because of the visibility, so that made it stick as well. Now, if we look at the company who migrated and said, we migrated, but everything is a mess. It's a German industrial company, about 5,000 Jira users, 26,000 Confluence users, multiple sub-organizations, one Atlassian organization. They started migrating in October of 2025, and it's still ongoing. But the problem is, and what shows in the billing is, they have 5,000 users in Jira and 26 in Confluence. But what's actually there is they use the identity provider, Microsoft Entra, and their initial sync to cloud is 6+ weeks. So what happened here was that the commercial pressure completely won. They had no time to clean up before migrating, so they just moved everyone to cloud as a first step. The 6-week IDP sync before a single Jira ticket moved also happened. They have dual maintenance in both now cloud and their data center instance. And with single sign-on not included in cloud, Atlassian Guard adds the per user charge on top of the licenses as well. Their LDAP sync LDAP sync replaced by Skim was a completely new integration that they had to learn, which also took some more time. And like we said, the billing starts at invite and not at first login. If we look at where they are now, they can actually see, well, the open questions are, what can they see from people who are logged in? Who was invited and never showed up or never accepted? Which licenses can be reclaimed? And how do they govern the 110,000 groups? So what past changes helped them and where they are now in terms of outcome? They were able to do the pre-migration audit, even though it was partial, but it reduced their debt into cloud. Their inactivity reporting across the full user base is handled in one space. The bulk cleanup with preview act on thousands of users safely is also happening in one single space, and we'll look at that a bit later on. As for group governance, difficult word, rationalize before it compounds further. That's also now possible because they have access, a quick overview into their groups, and they can quickly manage that as well. For process matters as much as tooling, HR alignment, sign-off, document decisions, that's all logged in the app because we do keep records of the audit logs so we know exactly what changes happened in their instance. But we'll also look into that a bit later. And then if we look at the customer who said they want to know who actually has access to what and why, they had an audit coming, and the one question was, someone's got access to Jira and to Confluence, and why is that? They didn't have any answers to that. And the problem with that was they were working off of spreadsheets. The spreadsheet took them 3 days to compile, one single spreadsheet, and they were not confident at all in their spreadsheet. So the underlying disease was their group sprawl, hundreds of thousands of groups accumulated over the years, and the biggest problem with that was no one knew half of them or what they were for. Some are quietly granting admin access to people who should really not be having it. And hiding in plain sight was former employees, so people who left and still had access actively, as well as the contractors, like previously mentioned. Contractors are still there, even though the process or the project is completely done or ended, the contractors still had access as well, which means the groups had elevated permissions and no documented owner either. So again, with the user management and license optimizer, what changed their outcome? Instant answers, first of all, because now they could filter by domain, by group, by role, by product and activity. They had answers immediately. They didn't have to go and look through spreadsheets. They had it immediately. And we will see in a bit how easy it is for them to get those types of answers. Also group visibility. They could see which groups exist, what was granted in those groups, and who it belongs to as well. For living policies, they have saved filter, which means obviously they're living policies, which could be reviewed regularly, not just for just before an audit. And in terms of, again, accountability, there was someone who could take ownership of that. So now I want to quickly dive into a live demo and show you guys exactly what we have just been discussed in terms of user management and license optimizer. This is exactly what it looks like. It lives inside of Jira Cloud. As you can see, you can manage all of your sites in one single dropdown. If you don't want to manage all, if you want to manage a specific one, you can simply go ahead and select which one you want to select. But for the sake of this demo, we will just be looking at all together. So in this dashboard view, we can see that we use a couple of apps. We can see Jira's there, Confluence is there, Rovo is there. We have a quick glance. Again, it's not through the use of different spreadsheets with multiple sheets, multiple pages. It's all in one view. And for the sake of this, you will see that my numbers are relatively low because it's an instance that's for the sake of this demo. It's not an active instance. But here I can see I've got 4 active licenses, and I have 3 users who are inactive. And I can also see there that they've been inactive for more than 30 days. So if I open that, I can see exactly who it is. I can see their names, I can see their email addresses, I can see which sites they belong to, which groups they belong to, their apps that they've got access to, their roles. If I go as far as to hovering over those roles, I can see the roles apply to whichever product, and the same the other way around. If I hover over the app, I can see what their admin or what their role in that specific app is. I can also see their last active date and the status. And then at the top here, you can see that there's a filter. The filter is really important because this filter is what you will use to define more precise what you want to see. If you want to see a specific app, a specific role, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to clear this for the moment being. So here you've got a better overview. I'm going to select Jira. So here we can see exactly all of the users in Jira, but I also want to see who's been inactive for more than a month. And then it narrows down to those people who have been inactive for more than a month. And I can exactly see also when they were last active. So now I can do 2 things. I can either save the filter and use it later, or I can go ahead and do a bulk operation right now. If I do the bulk operation right now, I have a few options that I can do. I can go ahead and remove app access. So for the sake of this, I selected Jira. So I see that they are not actively using Jira. They've been inactive for more than 30 days. So I want to remove their Jira access. So I can simply go ahead and click on Jira and apply. If that's not the route for me, I can also suspend them altogether. So that's also possible. Then you simply select suspend. You can also restore user access if needed, and you can also add or remove from specific groups. But before I do that, I want to jump over to my filter again. I just want to quickly save it. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it demo. Let me save that, and then I'm going to move over to automated tasks. I'm going to create an automation by saying create task. I'm going to give it a name. Again, I'll call it demo. And I'll select the demo filter that I just created a second ago. And then here I decide how often I want it to run. Do I want it to run weekly? Do I want it to run at a specific interval? So I can say I want to have it run once Every month, I can select the time, let's say 2 a.m. in the morning when everyone's sleeping, hopefully. And then again, I can select if I want to remove app access or if I want to suspend the user altogether. And if I hit apply, that automation will run as frequently as I have it set. What's really important here is because we're running automated tasks, we know that we need to keep record of audit logs because of compliance reasons. You need to always know who's been deactivated, why they've been deactivated, when they were deactivated, and by who. And the audit logs will tell you exactly that. As for when someone is recognized as inactive, you will find the threshold in your settings, and that's up to your admin to define when someone is seen as an inactive user. So it's up to you if you say it's within 1 week or within 6 months, that's completely up to you. And that is the product demo for this app at the moment. I do welcome any questions. If you have any questions, if you want to see more detailed demo, you can feel free to stop by our booth, and we'll be more than happy to show you some more information on this app. If there's anything you want to discuss, specific use cases, feel free to reach out to us. My email is on there. You can contact me at any time if you have any questions. But like I said, we are at the booth here, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. That is user management in a nutshell. Thank you so much.